This was actually Startup Weekend hackathon in 3 minutes. Today I will tell you more what kind of hackathons we do, how you can participate, why you should come, and as well why we started this movement in the Czech Republic. But firstly, let me introduce myself. I moved to Prague to join our small Slovak community there, like 3 years ago, when I was selected by one startup to launch Czech branch for them. The startup was in customer experience software management tool, and since then I started to be really geeky about these CX. But 6 months ago, I decided to change my job and I moved to banking sector. So currently I am working for Dateio, which is a fintech, and launching Polish, Romanian and Croatian market for them. Besides that, in my free time I love yoga and I love to organize startup weekends as one of the main volunteers and community manager. Startup Weekend is international non-profit organization running in more than 150 countries. And this kind of hackathon is a little bit different because usually when we talk about hackathons, they are dedicated just to IT people, developers on this kind of stuff. But in our Startup Weekend, there are not just that developers, but there are as well marketers, there are designers. And in this kind of process, we really make sure that the product in the end of the weekend is possible to market. Because sometimes these developers, they have a nice code, but the product cannot be sold in the end of the event. So with this consistency of audience or participants, we make sure that they actually work for the market. Sometimes it even happens during weekends immediately at 20. Okay, it's better. It became at 20 cities at the same time. And it's a really secure environment where you can try how to actually go through the whole process of creating your company, your product. So you start with the market research through validation and go to the pitching in front of the investors. The main values are actually to learn as much as you can about the new technologies, about yourself, about others, about how you can apply all these methodologies you learn in your job, to discover, to connect, and actually the most important is to start. To go briefly through the agenda. So on Friday, the people come, it's starting Friday evening, and you actually meet the people you have never met before, and in front of them you should pitch your idea. Pitch your idea, you want to work during the whole weekend, and go through that. Sometimes it's possible stressful because it's in front of 100 people, but you should realize the people are like-minded as you. They are eager to spend one weekend just working on their ideas. So after the pitching, the people are voting and the best teams are proceeding and team up to work. On Saturday, you just go through the validation, you just work, you go and search your first customers, you do market research, and in the afternoon, mentors come. Mentors are usually top entrepreneurs for Czech Republic and surrounding countries who will help you in one-to-one coaching how to proceed with your product. And the third day, you rather have your prototype ready because you are pitching in front of investors, mainly VCs like venture capitals and as well angel investors. And as I told, it's the international concept. It's based in London. It's under the Techstar group. We usually get a facilitator who is some kind of moderator who guides all the participants through the event and make sure that everything goes as it should. And how we started and why we started it in Prague or then in Czechia. When I was preparing the presentation, I actually realized that we really just were holding to the motto, no talk, all action. Because it was 2 years ago when Martin approached me that if I will help him to organize Startup Weekend in Prague. And as I told you, it's like pro bono event which we are doing during our free times. And suddenly I realized that this little bit help, I was responsible for sponsors, so to get money. Because as it's pro bono, we really need to raise money from companies to it happens. I was responsible for marketing, PR, or this organizational stuff, because in the beginning it was just 2 of us doing this event.
He actually started this Startup Weekend movement in Oulu when he was living there. So when he came back to Prague, he was feeling pity that there is not such events in Prague. So he decided that we will bring it back. It was 6 years ago, but then no events. So far, we had managed to organize 3 hackathons in Prague. We had around 250 attendees and around 42 ideas change into reality. So Startup Weekend is really about sparking your idea, getting it off the ground. As well, we managed to have like around 7 sponsors, like big companies, and then around 35 mentors who came during the Saturday as well, like in their free time to help guys to prototype. But we are still enjoying the process because as we organized these events for the first time, and it was a lot of mistakes going through that, but I think it's really part of the process because as well, when you are creating companies, a lot of ups and downs, and some of them to mention, for example, we had usually on the events last-minute vegans or vegetarians who usually they are not vegans or vegetarians, but they like the food of them much more, so in the end they take everything from them, and then vegans and vegetarians doesn't have anything to eat. Or then we invited, maybe you saw on the video, the president candidate Hilscher to our event, but we forgot to tell him that he will have a speech there. So then when he came, we were just like, now you will have this 10-minute talk, and he was like, what kind of talk should I have? But it was 2 months after the election, so he was still in practice, so it was nice. Last but not least, it was quite the most worst one. Before the first event, the main partner, who should give us around 2,000 euro, told us that he will not. So in 1 week, we had to raise like 2,000 euro. But as it is restricted time, I really think that in restricted time, everything was better. In the end, we managed. Other way, we will pay it actually from our own pockets. After the first event, we decided to test and to iterate Startup Weekend. And we decided to do vertical, because it can be even Startup Weekend in general, when maybe new booking system for flight tickets can be created to toilet chatbot, but then it's vertical when just projects dedicated to that topic has to be done. So we actually did education because we really think that education is the most important thing which should change to actually change the environment and society today. And in October this year, we will do public services. So the projects should improve in some way public experience for citizens. And maybe you are asking, yes, it's 1 weekend, but then what? Because these paths are different for all participants. So some participants just take it as an inspiration, and they are using these agile methods they learned there in their job. Some of them actually changed the career. Some of them joined the startup movement, so they joined some startup. But around 15 to 20 projects actually continue. So the guys who really met maybe for the first time, they continue on their projects. Here are some to mention. So the international one is Taxify. So it was created in Startup Week in Estonia. Then from Slovakia is Slido, quite a known Slovak startup, which is now scaling. Then there is Product Board, which is Czech one, now one of the most featured startups in San Francisco. And these other 4 are already from our hackathon, so I will tell you a little bit more. So there is Adia with Tripinder, which is actually Tinder for traveling. So if you want to travel and to find somebody, you can just go to that platform and see the trips there, or you can put your trip there and hope to find someone who will travel with you. She actually was also in one accelerator with this project. Then there is book Voyageur. It's in French, so I don't know if I pronounce it properly. It is a really nice story because they won our first hackathon. The guy with the diploma, he flew from Moldova to start a week in Prague. And as they couldn't work remotely, he took the idea, and he's now working on it as well in Moldova in one accelerator. Then we have Confused, which is a startup from the education vertical. And the guys are working to help high school students to choose properly in these times of technologies what they should study, because the guys should study for jobs which are not created yet. So they are helping in this issue. And last but not least is Clara with Theme Pelit. And she started some kind of community for women, so you can touch with inspirational women to have a mentoring, coaching, or even just grab a coffee.
So my name's Savo Kurdamelidis. I'm a lawyer, a commercial and IP lawyer from London. I'm based in London, but I'm born in New Zealand. And I decided to come to Prague for Startup Weekend just because it's I've participated in quite a few startup weekends. This is, I think, my 6th one, and it's I think it's just a really good kind of, it's not so much a boot camp, but it's just really good value, and it's a great way to see what's going on in the area as far as in the energy, and to see what kind of people are here and how advanced the community is. Well, just as I mentioned, I think that I think it's a really great boot camp as far as like teaching you the process of lean startups, and also just getting people more interested in making businesses, and seeing that it's possible. And one of the main benefits, I think, is that it's so condensed. A lot of the things that tend to hold people up in doing their own business, that kind of goes out the window. People see that it's possible to kind of do a lot in a very short amount of time, and I think that's, it's quite well organised as well how they structure it. But I think the main benefit is that you don't have enough time to kind of think, so you just sort of take action, and that's the most important thing, I think, just about anything, is just to take action and then calibrate after the event. Yeah, I mean, if people were interested in doing it, it's definitely, I definitely recommend. It's a really, really good value. If you're interested in startups, so it's a great way to get introduced. It's kind of like a mini MBA, really, like over the weekend, almost. But not as serious, and there's definitely room to have fun, but it can be quite stressful. But I think I really enjoy the energy.
So actually, Sarah from London, he mentioned all the stuff why we decided to do that, because from one point it's really inspirational to see how ideas from Friday pitching changed, and you see the same guys on Sunday pitching in front of the investors, how much effort and elaboration they did. It's really great to see the difference. As well, the next one is for guys is really inspirational. As I told, a lot of them change the job, or they continue to work on the projects. And as well, one of the main reasons is that we do it with a really great team. Currently, out of 2 guys, it's around 7 guys who are helping to organize Startup Weekend in Prague. But after 1 year, actually last year in November, we told ourselves that we don't want just to have Startup Weekend in Prague, or we want to help also other cities. For example, in Slovakia, Startup Weekend is happening in 7 cities. So why Startup Weekend in Czech Republic is just Brno and Prague? So we decided to raise money from some companies, because we knew that the sponsorship money are concentrated mainly in Prague, and other small cities cannot raise capital from the bigger companies. So we decided to raise money and help them in mentoring way. And thanks to the guys from Pilsen, we managed to organize Startup Weekend in Pilsen. It was youth edition, so for high school students. Thanks to the guys around Coworking Vault 42, we organized Startup Weekend in Olomouc. Thanks to the Impact Hub and Accelerator at the university, we will organize Startup Weekend in Ostrava. And just to explain, it's not us who organized that, it's the guys there, but we are helping them in mentoring to going through the whole process of actually applying for the license. You have to have this kind of license if you want to organize Startup Weekend, to even organizing the event itself. And as I told you, we, with Martin, started it, but now it's 7 of us, so we want to a little bit step out and to let the space for others to also learn what we learned. And we created platform Startování, or we are now doing that. The main reason is that the technologies, it was told so many times here, is changing the way how the world functions, and to actually apply these technologies to improve our lives, to improve all sectors of our environment. We need people who are talented, who are courageous, and who want to work with these technologies. So that's why we decided to create this platform under which we will cover all our non-profit educational activities like design jams, design sprint meetups, hackathons, challenges we now create, or we cooperate with high school competition, Soutěž and Podnikej. So you can stay tuned, we are now working on that. And as well, the organizing team, actually 4 guys from that picture, we created our design prototyping studio called Status Quack. So we are not afraid to quack status quo. And now we are working on implying technologies and creating products and services for new clients. So that's everything from my side. I would be really happy to see you on any of other events in any city, or to come and help us to organize that. I will need to run after the presentation, or like half an hour. I will stay for the break. But don't afraid to approach me via email and join us or start a weekend maybe in Prague for public services. So thank you very much.
Okay, Zuzka, you also told me that when you had this education vertical, there were some very successful outcomes. Can you maybe name like 1 or 2?
Like one of that was Confused, which is helping high school students to choose the next studies. So to choose if they should stay in Czech Republic or maybe go abroad. And another one is called activity Poděkuj učiteli, or thank to your teacher. Whereas because the teachers, I think they are not appreciated at all in today's society. So it's a platform where you can publicly thank to your teacher. So these 2 projects are continuing and are working still on that.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Zuzka? As she said, she's only here for a coffee break. I was actually wondering, because you hear a lot of like idea pitching, can you maybe share, before we get into a successful one, can you share some of the fails that we can avoid perhaps?
Like in pitching, or like the ideas, you mean?
Well, yeah, like when you have this like big moment and you're supposed to, you know, like pitch an idea.
Like sometimes it doesn't matter so much on idea, but on the team who is doing the idea. So I think maybe the idea can work with other team to put their more effort. But maybe to mention some funny projects. It's you were laughing when I mentioned chatbot for toilets, but it was really created one chatbot through which you can pay when you want to use toilet in a restaurant. So you are suddenly in the city, you are searching for toilet, you are just sightseeing, and you want to enter the restaurant, but you are embarrassed to ask, can I use the toilet? So they created a chatbot via Messenger where you can give them a tip and pay and use the toilet. So it was really created during the startup weekend.
So in the end, everyone does pretty well when it comes to pitching. Like there are no fails, no one is, I don't know, crying.
No, usually they are really ready because they have really heels. So we actually advise them. There is not so many lectures during the startup weekend, just 2 15 minutes. First is on Saturday morning about validation, and another one is on Sunday morning about pitching. So they have some tips and tricks, and they usually choose the best, let's say not pitcher, but the one who can pitch. So in the end of the day, they don't have so much failure. Sometimes the technique like doesn't work as it was for me, but other way not.
And can you just leave us with like one tip for a successful idea, like project pitch?
I would really not go into the project or the idea. It should be just do the best during the weekend you can. Use the resources there because there are around you will be the like-minded people. There will be great mentors. So as much as you use resources which are given to you, as much the idea can be in the end of the day successful.
Okay, thank you very much. This was Zuzana Maderová.